Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sour SaaS. I'm very excited to be joined today by the VP of Marketing at Banzai, Ashley Levesque. Welcome to the show, Ashley.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad to have you here. I think we got to get something out of the way, though, first. Why are you coming after my territory? I heard you run your own podcast. You coming after me?
Listen,
This is my world, okay?
I'm
the podcast guy.
I think I'm on episode like 170 or something. Like baby's had
Oh,
that
and
thing for a
she's
long
better than
time. Yeah,
Okay, so I should be asking you for tips.
exactly right.
Seriously, though, like, how do you make your podcast you not hate your podcast? Like, you know how nobody ever talks about that part, but like, how do you not hate your own show? Like, what's your trick for that?
That's real, actually. And there was a point where I was like, okay, so two things. One, I just started a new track so that instead of talking about marketing, I'm talking about like leadership and people and more interesting problems that I think are
questions now that you can think of in your prep, new inspiration. Yeah. Okay. So you're learning new things too that way.
Yeah. And I get real bored talking about just marketing campaigns over and over. I just don't think that's super interesting. I don't know if everyone else thinks that's super interesting.
Well, compare to be bored and disinterested, because I've got a lot of marketing questions for you.
No, I mean, I'm excited.
I'm just kidding. I mean, what I like to say though, Ashley, because I want to get some tips from you. I like to say I've done more content for fewer people than anyone in the world. So how can I get more people to my shows? What's the trick here?
So you want to get all your people you're trying to sell to on your show, right? So you have your target list of who you're trying to get in with.
Give away,
and you want to bring them on your show.
Yeah, I mean maybe that.
Maybe might be
Banzai could be a great client for Directive one day. I'm not saying you're a SaaS company and a great vertical that we have experience with. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But so that's one area. But how do I get more viewers? Because that's the right viewer, and that's one viewer in that sense.
Yeah.
How do I get 100, 200, 300, 500 a show, 1,000 a show?
I mean, I like the live aspect. I think that's kind of sexy and fun, and I think it adds an element of danger and something weird could happen and who knows. Yeah, I think that's great. I don't know why you're not getting. Are you saying you're not getting hundreds of viewers on this?
We get a lot of viewers when I advertise it, so I push it, if that makes sense. And we hear about it a lot in our sales process. But you know how when you start a podcast, there's a little part of you that kind of wants some fame. No one ever wants to say that out loud or live, but you kind of want someone to give a damn. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You want people to care about that next show or that next guest. And I think we also know we can't make it our full-time job. So we're kind of always stuck in this weird little world. That's what I'm wondering, how do you get your views up? Is there any way you get your views up on your downloads and stuff like that? Or you look at it at all? Or do you kind of just try to ignore it because it's depressing?
I sort of ignore it. I looked at it a lot in the beginning.
I
looked at it a lot in the beginning. And when it comes to validating that this is still a channel that makes sense, I'll look at it every once in a while to be why am I doing this? But I think our strategy is let's talk to the right people. Let's talk about some interesting stuff. Let's try to slice it up and use that content in more than just this, right? So that the life of it can extend beyond the experience. And then I think it's just an excuse to have a good conversation with somebody else. And not so much about I think it's cool it's coming up in your sales process. But, for me, I'm I just want to meet interesting people. I want to talk about other stuff. And I don't know, maybe that's not a good way of thinking about it.
No, I think, I think about it kind of similarly, and I guess we're both not famous, so here we are.
I guess we just answered the question, which is we're doing it wrong, which is why it's not
At least I feel this is fun though, because a lot of times I interview people who don't interview people. If you get what I mean, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So this is dope. Now I have some questions. So what I like to do that hopefully is different is I like to go very hard at your strategy and just try to understand it. So from everybody out there right now, I want to maybe lay the context of how I see it, right? You've created your own category of engagement marketing, which I think is dope, which we'll talk about in a second. But within that, let's just say you run event marketing software. I'm sorry to say that, but you're in the category of event marketing software.
We are. Yeah.
So Hopin just got their butt kicked. I mean, they laid off more employees than you actually have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the context of the industry. How are you positioning yourself and navigating that as the VP? Because that is a weird, I'm sure, moment. I'm sure it has good characteristics to it too, because you obviously, I'm sure, differentiated from them and you almost feel like it's validating. But at the same time, it's also devalidating to the broader market. So like, how are you navigating that as a leader?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think marketers are struggling with, which first of all, it's one of the coolest parts of my job is being a marketer working at a marketing technology company that sells to marketers, because I'm like uniquely invested in this real pain point and struggle because I've had it everywhere I've ever been. And to some extent, I still have it. So in real time, we're like modeling some of, my department specifically is modeling some of this and trying to kind of like walk our talk a little bit internally as well. So one of the things that I hear from marketers all the time that marketers are really struggling with isn't so much like, how do I put on a great event? That was the COVID problem when 2 years ago, everyone was like, holy, we're now doing not in person, I guess. Okay, cool. And marketers were like, I don't have a strategy for this. I don't know how to do a webinar. I don't know what this means. I don't want to be on camera. Now it's like, okay, how do I get ROI out of these events? How do I drive these events to be something meaningful for my business?
Yeah, if I have to do these events, how do I actually elevate them?
And how do they become not ancillary to my strategy, but like they are my strategy? And this is where engagement marketing came from, is this idea that marketers have tons and tons of one-way communication channels, right? They've got blogs, they've got everything we grew up on. I say grew up on.
This is what I'm all about, this bi-directional communication. We don't need more newsletters,
right.
We need communities. We need ways of actually interacting instead of talking at, right?
And this is another reason why I love podcasting, is because it's just another channel of like actually building a relationship and having a dialogue. That's what I think marketers are missing when it comes to the opportunity for events. And once they figure out that events are basically just experiences, and without getting too woo-woo, they're like emotional experiences between people, right? Yes. Then we can talk about how that drives ROI in a more meaningful way.
Ashley, you're speaking like my love language of marketing right now. Now, this is Sour SaaS. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready.
All right. Good luck. I'm doing mine right now.
I like that it's giving me little like notes. Okay. I'm doing black cherry. Oh my God.
Okay, the second one is exponentially worse. So buckle up. Now. Okay. I literally believe marketing is entirely about psychology and emotion. So that's why I was so excited that you said that. Your website does a genuinely good job of being outcome oriented, emotionally invoking, and what I like to call is shockingly memorable. So how'd you get that? Did you write that yourself? Did you hire a professional copywriter? Did someone from your team do it? Because I think people want good copy. They just literally don't pay for it. My perspective. But I'd love to hear what you think. If you can talk.
Thank you for saying that. We actually just rebranded that site like 4 weeks ago. So this is like top of mind for me because we literally just did this.
Yeah, I want the scroll to go faster on the hero below the fold, by the way, just as a note to you.
Same.
Because the scroll thing was dope, but then for some reason it felt laggy, and I'm hardwired, so I'm like, bro, what's going on here?
Same.
I actually really like the concept because it's a different. It did shock me to engage with your website because you forced the engagement into the website with the way it was dynamic, which I actually really liked. I just wanted to go faster, but I thought it was dope.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So my team and I did write the copy internally.
Wow. Okay.
We did that. And then we had an awesome, like incredible designer and an incredible developer who kind of brought it all to life. But yeah, we wrote that ourselves. And again, it's like, it's just like marketers, like I don't know. I don't know.
You did double headlines. You did stuff that was different, Ashley. Like you did double headlines on some of like the product pages. Like in your, you know how we do like offsetting like 2-column layouts where we go left, right. But then you did 2 headlines, which I actually thought was really cool. Like whose idea was that? Why'd you do it?
It was my idea, and it's because I have a lot to say. To be honest, I was like, no, we just need more text. Like I have more.
Which is the opposite, right? All these people think no one reads anything. It's like, no, it's because your font sucks, your copy sucks, it's too small, and you don't even want to read it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like that's the actual issue.
And so many websites are doing the opposite of, Banzai.io is
You
the
hit them with it.
website.
There you go. Banzai.io. There we go, Shailene.
Yeah, everyone go look at it right now. And then, you can also tell me how great it is if you'd like. It's everyone else's website. The reason everyone else's website sucks is because we're still focused, and this goes back to what we were just talking about.
Yep.
We're still focused on like distilling information at people that is about us, right? It's like, here are our features, here are the great things about our product, and not enough about, like you were saying, outcomes and value. And like, once you flip that around, people are going to read what you put
Yeah, didn't you
down.
say something like, want your next event not to suck? And I was like, yes. It was like pretty much like, I'm like, yes, that's like that is the actual outcome people want from your software, is to not have 85 registrants and 2 attendees and then feel like a ding dong when the boss asks how to go.
100%. 100%.
Because that is exactly what's occurring.
That is exactly what's occurring. And then marketing loses their ability to feel like they're impacting the bottom line. And they are forever stuck in this narrative of, all I do is generate leads and kick them over the fence, and I never know what happens. And they lose access to their budget, because now they've just spent whatever they've spent on this event, and their CEO is going, okay, so that did nothing for us. I'm gonna scale back your budget 25% next year so that you can just keep running emails or whatever.
Oh no, we did an event. We got Ann Handley. We paid her a bag of money. We got some dope speakers. 2 people on the last session. So I feel this. Like, I feel this. I know how hard self-hosted events are. I speak at like 30 conferences a year. I do 2 live shows a week. I love content, but it is so hard to build an audience. And I like, is that something you all are trying to solve, this like audience? Because it's not like people talk about promotion, people talk about distribution, they talk about chopping up your content. That's still different than building an audience. Yeah. So do you guys address that? Because to me, I don't know even how you solve that problem. That to me is like really comes down to like the audience builder. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at the new media, if you look at the new, if you look at the way, like in my case, like sports media, let's say you have Barstool and you have ESPN. ESPN is a brand. Barstool is a collection of personalities, and that's how they have an audience. Whether you agree with them or not is entirely different if you like to evaluate marketing. So side note. But like that to me is such a clever concept of like, that's how they do it, right? Each individual creator is full-time, their job isn't to create content. Their job is to build an audience and then sell ads to the audience. And I find that how they do it is very different than how B2B does it, right? They're very like interpersonal. They might be funny. They might show their personality. So like, how do you think about audience building? Because I think that's why events fail.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think you're right. I think one of the reasons events fail is because we're so focused on registration numbers that we don't care about like who is registered. We're just like, let's get as many registrants as possible. And the quality of those registrants is significantly lower than it should be. So one of our products solves for this by audience acquisition, reach, which allows you to connect with new audiences. So it's not just about, let me like share this promo with my connections on LinkedIn. It's about, I know the quality of my ICP. I know exactly who I want to target for this event because I have a target list or I've got whatever. This is who I want. Go invite them to my event. That's what Reach does. Okay. And then there's the community aspect, which is what you're talking about, which is, okay, once we get them and we know that we want to engage with them and build relationships with them, how do we do that in a way that, again, isn't about us, but it's about them? How do we serve them?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know if they can show up to the event if they don't care about you before. That's what I'm finding it to be very hard to, because I think the premise, this is like my pushback on like your types of products I want to see in the industry, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah. Because this isn't like just a suck fest for Banzai, right? I want to actually get deep here around it. Like my issue with it is like, how do I get someone who doesn't give a damn about my brand to show up to my webinar? Because I think the fallacy of B2B marketers is like, if you come up with an engaging enough title or type of content, it'll work. For me, what's only worked is like if the host of the webinar is a big audience, they promote it. So once again, it goes back to audience. You see what I'm saying? Like my best podcasts are the ones that have the biggest guests. Like it's not rocket science. They bring their audience. Theirs is bigger than mine. So like, how do you get more webinar attendees if people don't care about you? Like that's
It's like the chicken and the egg thing, right? Because you can't put on terrible content and expect your audience to grow.
Care. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So I think you're right. And I also think there is some element to like quality content that's a part of this, right?
Yeah.
So for example, we see a lot of people running like product webinars as the first introduction webinar to a new audience. And like, that's a terrible idea, right? Because to your point, they don't know who you are. Why are they going to come listen to you about your product? That's again, like focusing back.
There's
on
no
us.
screen. You don't have your camera on. You're talking into the void. There's no chat. It's literally like blow your brains out boring. And
It's
people
not for
are
those
like, why isn't it
people.
working? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for those people. So thinking about stuff that really excites them or interests them. Like we've done stuff like that doesn't have anything to do with our products. We've done meditation on webinars before. Just like come hang out with us for 10 minutes and meditate with us. And we're not going to put you in like a nurture campaign or anything weird. We're just working on building brand affinity. We want you to just
kind of like these live shows, right? Like that's what like I'm doing this for, is just to have fun conversations in a way that's hopefully an engaging format. We could talk about things that other people don't talk about on their shows.
Totally. That's exactly right. That's
Are you
exactly
almost ready
right.
for candy number 2?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm watching you just like, okay, I'm gonna do my thing. I'll push the pace. I'll push the pace.
Okay.
Okay. The second one just ruins your day. Well,
there's nothing good about the second one. Like the feeling, let me walk you through some of what I'm experiencing right now. A feeling of rage just came up from like the bottom of my toes and swam all the way up to my eyes, like pure rage. It's not cute. It's like, I'm really mad. You know what I mean?
I love that. Well, then let me ask you a good one. Demio. Okay, one of the hardest parts about an acquisition is integrating it. You came from Demio, and now you're doing this 2-menu idea. I haven't seen anyone do it. I think it's dope as hell. But when I click on, just so you know, when I click on Banzai from Demio, I can't get to Banzai as a note.
What?
Yeah. Dead serious. I know. I told you I do my prep. Okay.
I appreciate this.
But I thought the concept was amazing. I was just trying to get back to your website and I couldn't. But that was after I wrote all my notes of how amazing it was. So, like, how are you all thinking about it? When are you going to integrate it? Are you going to move the content over? Are you not? Like, I'm actually like, I've got some signed LOI. Like, I'm like in a process of doing this right now, and I've been like racking my brain. How do I want to integrate this company to Directive? What did you do? Like, I want to hear about it.
There were 2 main things we were thinking about. One, Demio is primarily a self-serve product. And so the revenue impact of moving their website immediately after acquisition is significant.
Yeah, because Banzai does demo, no pricing available. Disconnect from that.
The other big thing that we thought about was like Demio actually had a bigger awareness in the market than Banzai did during the acquisition. So we wanted to create the connection between Banzai and the parent company without getting rid of Demio's brand entirely, because we would lose everything that they had created.
So they were actually a bigger brand than you all, but you all had the capital or the whatever to bring them in.
Exactly. So the plan is long-term, we are going to move it over.
Yeah, of course.
But first we have to do like a better, deeper understanding of what that'll mean, which we have.
Yeah, why rush, right? At the same time, it's like, why rush? Because you've integrated your other menu into it, which I thought was brilliant. So it's kind of still obvious that it's within, especially if you click on it. Because I was going through your products and stuff, and I was getting to it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think it's your products. Is it? What's the name of your product thing where you have Demio, your 3 right there?
The product page, Demio.
Like the menu. In the menu, is it solutions or products? What do you call that? Like that?
I think we call it products. Yeah.
I think you might want to look at that.
Okay.
Because the rest of the website, I feel like, stands out compared to that. I got a little lost trying to understand your story because you still don't have a platform page. Because so you have the 3 products, but I didn't feel like you were able to connect all 3 to me, which I think would be really big on your average order value. Because
exactly right.
I don't know. That was just my head. Side note.
Nope. Okay. Yep. You're right on.
I've been trying to do this. We have a lot of clients that are really large. Like the hardest part in SaaS marketing, undoubtedly, and this is not like a knock on you. Like literally, nobody does it. Is platforms. Like when you have 3 products, how do you tell the story of each integrated? It's like way harder than anyone fully grasps, especially if you do it via acquisition. Like it is.
Okay. So
it's the hardest thing in the game.
Stay tuned and come back to Banzai.io on April 1st.
Hell yes. Okay.
Write it down,
Right
friends. You heard it here
I love
first.
it. Yes. Okay. April 1st. Now, you have a ton of charisma, ton of talent. You got the it factor. What I want to know is how did you go from manager to director to VP in 1 year?
Ooh, okay.
You actually did. Literally in 1
Yeah.
year, you were like, COVID's going to change my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, it looks like you turned a negative into a positive in record time. I'm sure from an interpersonal, like, I don't know what happened, but as a guy who does interviews all day, every day, I'm sure something happened in that robotics company. And then next thing you go to Demio, and next thing you know, you're here at Banzai and you're a VP. Break that down for me.
Yeah. And a couple of years before that, I was actually an executive assistant. So I did executive assistant to VP in 5 years.
Go off, Ashley. Yes. All right, let's go. So break it down for me. What was the thing? Because there's a lot of people that are going to watch this that are in a similar spot. They're a manager, they're assistant.
Yeah.
They have big dreams, but they feel stuck.
My go-to that I always do, and I still do it, is I always say yes, even if I don't know how to do the thing being asked. I say yes first. I figure out how to do it later. Always. That's always. That's when I was an EA and my CEO was like, we need to build a marketing department. Are you interested? And I was like, I don't even know what marketing is, but I was like, yes.
Yes.
And then I'm like Googling.
Yeah,
literally.
how to build marketing department.
I'm like, how to do marketing. Literally.
I saw you joined the Peak, right? You joined Pavilion. You got yourself involved in communities. You built a support group around yourself. That same character trait is the same as the people that were with me 6 years ago that were doing this job and then are now in charge of 100 people plus.
Mm-hmm.
They said yes along the way. They were like, I'm okay shedding my skin as a professional so that I can grow, right? Like snakes shed their skin because they grow. Like professionals have to shed their skin and say yes to things if they want to grow. It doesn't work
exactly
any other way.
That's exactly right. And you have to be okay feeling uncomfortable. You have to be chill, not being great at everything that you're about to do and risking whatever that feels like for you, right? The inadequacy or the incompetence or whatever. And then, man, it's still sour.
Oh yeah, no, it's bad. It's subjective.
And then you gotta surround yourself with awesome people so that you don't do it in a silo, so that you're not constantly like just creating your own debt. You know what I mean?
When you think about people, then let's break that down though. Because when you think about people and you're surrounding yourself with them, and by the way, don't drink coffee. It's like orange juice and toothpaste. But so when I literally have my coffee that it happens every time. So I try to drink as much as I can before you'll learn. Now, so when you think about people and you're building your team, do you surround yourself with people who complement your strengths or people who make up for your weaknesses? How do you like to think about that?
Make up my weaknesses.
Okay, so if you're going to bring maybe the high energy and all this stuff, I would imagine as a similar personality type, you might want someone who's overly analytical because that might not be what you're going to get off to. Or you might want you kind of partner those people with you in very specific areas to elevate as a group. Is that a fair way of looking at it?
Yes.
Okay.
Usually, yes.
Now, I do have a problem with your website.
Give it to me.
That chatbot thing. Did we just buy the drift hype because everybody's doing it? Like, does that thing actually outperform? Have we tested it? Tell me, please. Does the chatbot work better? Because I wanted that demo, and I'm like, she makes all her money right here on this page. This is a really it's a ballsy move. Like, she's got a chatbot. I can't fill out the form. She bought into it. Does it work? Break it down for me.
I just got 2 leads from it today. Between 8 and noon, it's 12:30 here. I already have 2 leads come in. One for one product, one for another. I don't know if it's going to work yet. We just did it when we did the website.
We just did it. So this is part of the new launch.
This is part of the testing.
Nobody's doing it. You have a lot of things on your website that are totally innovative. That's why that's why I'm so excited for this, because I like to think I have original thoughts. I was like, Ashley has original thoughts. And when that's what I think to me is very, it's critical to have original thoughts if you want to have above average results. You can't do the same thing as everybody else.
Can't do the same thing. And you do the same thing, you're going to have the same results that you've always had. You got to play and test. And honestly, the market is open to that. We just went through 2 of the craziest years of adaptation. Let's give people some more credit. You know what I mean? Try something crazy and people will respond to it. But I wanted to get rid of those book a demo forms because I got rid of the contact us form because
I love it. I love it. You're just totally challenging and pushing a narrative. And the reason that's exciting to me is because I don't think you can ever get to that next level if you don't break away from what the status quo is, if that makes sense.
Exactly
Now,
right.
within that, one of, I guess, my questions is like, is I'm like, so I have two kind of points here. Number one, I agree with your premise. My whole premise of growing Directive. So like we spend millions of dollars on our own marketing as a professional services firm, which is weird. Like I call it R&D. It's like, if I'm going to
Yeah.
sell you something, I want to know if it works first as a consultant.
Yes.
Okay. Now, my premise is marketers hire Directive or enjoy Directive because they're jealous of our marketing. That's why I try to come up
Yes.
with these concepts. That's why I do
Yes.
Sour SaaS and these things. I want them to go, oh, I wish I had something like that instead of my boring webinar. Right. And so I
Yes.
think your concept of doing different websites, having bold copy, doing different forms appeals to your ICP differently. And this is what I was actually talking to my wife about last night, is marketers are like car guys. And here's what I mean by that.
Okay.
If you're a car guy or any type of hobby, whatever it is, like me, I played soccer and I tried to go pro, and I can tell if someone's good at soccer the second they step on a field. Their body language, how they walk, what they're wearing, the way they talk. They don't have to touch a ball, and I can be like, that dude is a pro in like a millisecond. Car guys, same thing. You can see a car guy from a mile away. Their cars look different. They talk about them different. They're just like their own little nerds for whatever it is, right?
Yes.
Whether you're a sports nerd, you could tell someone's a gambler, right? In like 2 seconds, they're watching like some NIT game on a Tuesday night and they care way too much. They didn't go to either of the schools, right?
Yeah.
Marketers are the same. And I don't think we actually think about that ever and give each other credit. I think marketers like real recognize real. Like if you're selling marketers and they see you and they like your marketing, there all of a sudden becomes this affinity. What do you think about that? Do you agree? Like to me, that's my whole premise of how I do it.
That's absolutely right. And when we did our rebrand 4 or 5 weeks ago, I had 3 goals of doing the rebrand. And these are the same goals I gave to the developer, the designer, and my team when we were writing copy. Goal 1 was to create a stronger connection between Demio and Banzai. I wanted people to think of these two companies as one is the same. Demio is no longer a company, they're a product. I wanted to make that clear and enfold them in kind of this new hierarchy. The second one was I wanted our mission to show up in our brand. Our mission is about making marketing more human. And I was like, I want to see it in the colors, in the fonts, on the images, on the site. I want to see it in the copy. And the third one was I want to build a brand that marketers are awed by. Because then it's the exact same thing. Like we need to walk our talk a little bit. We're talking to marketers about engagement marketing. I want us doing this internally as well.
You did it. I got to tell you, that third point, I think, is the one that you really crushed. Like the welcome to the movement, like the way you did that copy to introduce that concept was so much more clever than even the way I've done it with customer generation. Because you didn't just build a landing page for your category, you built a resource center for your category. And I think that's a much healthier way of doing it than I've done it or most do it. And you didn't do it in this like B2B annoyingly cut and dry, like it's the category because we say it. You did it more like this is a category you should want to be a part of, which I think was like quite clever. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good. What was your thought process on that? Like category creation, you all put a lot more effort than most do, I think, into it for how big you are. And I don't mean that like a bad way, but you all aren't at that point, but you're acting like you are, which is like what I freaking love. So like, how did you go about like deciding to do it? Like, what's your thoughts on categories?
Yeah, so we wanted to really think about when we started with the idea of a community, but what we meant by the idea of a community is not so much like a group of people that can converse with one another.
Yeah, not so much a Slack group, but like a different version of that.
But like a revolution, right? Like a community that like is inspired to move, to like change the script on the way we think about marketing. And so the name, the movement came from that. And then those resources that you mentioned are designed to be, again, to your point, outcome based. These are things that marketers are already thinking about and are just wondering how to do it, right? These are the people that find themselves on that page are the people who are already like, I'm so tired of marketing the way that I'm marketing. I just don't know how to do something better. I don't know how to get buy-in to do something different or budget or whatever. And so we wanted to create kind of we have like 4 tenets of our brand. And one of the tenets of our brand, the way we want to make people feel is brave. We wanted to give them a spot where they felt like they could be brave to kind of dip their toes into something different. That was the whole
I think
point
you are evoking that emotion of like, they're like the way I like to tell people is like when I'm like coaching or helping them is like the individual I see has more potential than the person you see in the mirror. And I think that's that same, like, that's what you're like showing the marketer is a reflection of how much more they could be and how much you believe in them. And all they have to do is say yes, right?
Yes.
Like all you have to do is say yes, and we're going to pull you along. And then me, I just thought that was terrific. But Ashley, this has been amazing.
Hey,
if anyone wants to follow along with your journey, follow Banzai, dive deeper, what's the best way for them to do it?
Oh my gosh. All right. So I'm on LinkedIn. You have to come find me on LinkedIn so we can hang out. Thank you. LinkedIn. Yeah. Ashley Levesque. Come to the website, banzai.io. Tell me all the things that Garrett missed about all the amazing things that you love. And if you want to share like some feedback, that you can send that too. Thank you for having me. It was so fun to talk to you. I appreciate it.
This has been amazing. Thanks so much for being on the show. And that, everybody, is Sour and SaaS. Bye, everybody.